Hello, your friendly neighborhood gypsy here, and we're going to do a painting today. It's called Flower Fun. Now, I really like this painting because it's very Van Gogh-esque. Anybody that knows me knows that I am a huge Van Gogh fan. And doing this painting, when I saw this painting, I'm like, that might be something Van Gogh would do. So I think it would be fun to do it, and I'm going to do it with you. I'm really glad you're here to do this painting with me, but before we get started on it, let's go through a few of the supplies that you're going to need to do the painting. First and foremost, you need the canvas. And as you see, the line drawing is on the canvas. We did that with the carbon paper transfer method using a spliced 11 by 14, laid it on the canvas, and then we traced with a pencil with the carbon between the canvas and the paper. Okay, that's how we got the transfer on there. To do that splice 11 by 14, you just go on the computer, you print off the splice 11 by 14 tracer that we have on there, and then you tape it together. Line it up and tape it together. If you're doing an 8 by 10 canvas, it's just a single sheet of paper for the 8 by 10 canvas. Now, the larger the canvas, like I don't know, the 12 by 16 or the 16 by 20, you'll use several sheets of paper to do that. But again, carbon paper, your paper on top, do your tracing, and you got your line drawing and you're good to go. Now, next thing you're going to need is a palette. This is the palette I use. Now, you can use a paper palette. I've used this palette for years. You can tell it's very well used, and I got a couple of these. All this is a $1.99 cutting board from Walmart, and it cleans up nicely. It works great. I love it. I've been using it for a long time. I use it for oil and acrylic paints, both. You, of course, will need your brushes. You're going to need a 1-inch brush. You're going to need a number 8. And maybe, not sure, but you're going to need a number 10 brush, round brush, okay? You also will need a liner brush. A liner brush is really important in this painting, as it is in a lot of paintings. They don't have to be fancy brushes. This is a paint party project. So, I mean, if you want fancy brushes, please, feel free and go ahead and do it. But they're not necessary. You're also going to need an example of what you're painting. In this case, we're painting Flower Fun, and all I did was print off the picture of it so that I had it as an example as I'm working on the painting. If I forget anything, I can look over at the example. You're also going to need your paints. What you're going to need is you are going to need buttermilk. You're going to need sweet mint. You're going to need dragon fruit. You're going to need, this is a black, what's called black green. You can also use a Hauser dark green if you want. This is golden yellow. You can also use moon yellow. I think we list moon yellow in the supply sheet. You're definitely going to need strawberry. You're going to need lamp black, titanium white, and you're going to need tangerine. Now, I couldn't find the tangerine, and we do list that in the supply list. So I'm using a jack-o'-lantern orange. It's pretty close to tangerine. Also have a bottle here of apple barrel, bright yellow. I don't know if we'll be using this for anything, but I just thought I'd throw it there. Now, I use DecoArt Americana paints. The reason why is they're a better paint, and they're thick, which thick is important when you're working with acrylics. You can use any craft paint you want, okay? Any craft paint you want to use, you can use. You're going to use less coats with the DecoArt than you will with the other craft paints. So it's up to you how you want to do it. I recommend DecoArt, but use whatever you want to. There's a lot of different ones out there. Anita's, Apple Barrel, there's just a whole bunch of them that you can use. Folk Art. Folk Art's pretty good. I mean, but DecoArt's my go-to. DecoArt Americana. Then last but certainly not least, well, not last but certainly not least, you need a wipe rag, something that you can clean your brushes with, whether it's an old rag like this or whether it's a napkin. And you are going to need your rinse water. Now, I have my drink in here. But hopefully I don't forget and drink from here. We'll see what happens. So, with all that being said, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to minimize myself on the screen here. You can see the screen back here. I'll be up in the corner, and you'll be able to see me working on the canvas down below. Well, you can glance up in the corner too if you want to see what I'm doing up there. But let's get the screen minimized. Come on, screen grab. And we'll just go tinier and tinier like Alice in Wonderland. Now, I'll put my palette down here where you can see the colors I'm putting on there. We got the painting here. You should be able to see the whole painting without any problems. And those are the main things you want to see. Everything else is secondary, but those are the main things you want to see. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to start with my golden yellow. I'm going to get some golden yellow here on the palette. Now, when you're doing this painting, as you paint over things, don't worry about it. It's not a concern, okay? Because you should be able to see your lines through the paint, okay? I don't know whether on the video you can see that or not, but in person when you're doing it, you should be able to see the lines on the paint. So what I'm going to do without wetting my brush, just going to leave it dry right now, okay? It'll get wet later on. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to grab some. You see how I do that? Kind of spread it out a little bit. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to do my first colors up through here. I'm going to do a couple brushes to see how the paint's going onto the canvas. And then we're going to start putting it on a little bit thicker. We'll just go up through here. We'll go back and forth. We'll use back and forth movements up through there. Back and forth. Now, a lot of what I do today will be freehand. A lot of what you do when you're doing your painting is going to be freehand too. So, don't worry about it because, honestly, you can't do anything wrong. As a matter of fact, I want you to make a promise to me right now, right here and now. Promise me that you'll never judge how you paint against somebody else's painting. It's the worst thing that you can do. Everybody paints different. There is no right or wrong. It's what you're pleased with. Don't make a difference what anybody else thinks. Everybody paints different than everybody else. Van Gogh didn't paint like Gauguin. Gauguin didn't paint like Van Gogh. A good example of that is Madame Junot. They both painted Madame Junot. But if you look up the paintings online and you take a look at their two paintings, even though they are similar and they painted this both at the same time. Even though the paintings are similar, they look entirely different. So you can still tell it's the same person, but their styles were different. So it looks different. Now after you get that yellow there, we're going to go up in here and we're going to do, I think right about, where do I want to put that at? Let's see, we want to put it here? Yeah, we'll put it right here. So we're going to go down, I'm just going to bring some yellow down through here. Bring that yellow down. We want to make sure that background's in there. Make sure you get complete coverage when you're doing this, okay? Don't leave anything uncovered. I know that's easier said than done, but you can do it. Need to get a little more yellow. Don't ever be afraid to add more yellow to your palette, or not yellow, but more paint to your palette. It's really easy to add too much paint to your palette. You know, you get overexcited and what have you, and then you're just wasting paint. There's no sense in wasting paint when you don't have to. It saves you trips to Hobby Lobby and it saves you trips to Michael's, so don't waste paint. Okay, we're going to take a little bit of that yellow and we're going to go right down in here. Right down in there, just like that. Get that area filled. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this yellow, we'll go across the bottom with it. And notice I'm using backward strokes, back and forth, back and forth. This gets you very good coverage on your paint. Go back and forth. I'm going to have to get a little more yellow, which is fine. A little more here. I'll be using some more yellow later on some other things in this painting. Right now my main concern is background. Now anytime you do a background, don't spend a whole lot of time on it. It's a background. Your main focus is going to be your flowers and your pot. And this isn't supposed to be a realistic still life. This is a whimsical painting. You know, it's just a simple whimsical painting. And you're going to go in, and this is for fun. If you try to get serious on it, you're missing the whole point of the painting. This is totally, completely for fun. Now, once you get your yellow on there, once you do that yellow, I want you to come in. I want you to take that buttermilk. Oh, I noticed that. I got some white canvas showing through right through there, and I don't want it showing. I want you to take the buttermilk. Always make sure you shake up your paints. You gotta have your paints shook up. Get them shook up. Put some of the buttermilk on your palette there. Rinse your brush out. You don't have to get all the yellow out. As a matter of fact, you'll want to pick up a little bit of that yellow. Rinse your brush out. Then, oh, I just lost my cloth. It hit the floor. Well, that's why I keep napkins nearby, in case something like that happens. Okay, we're going to grab some of that buttermilk. We're going to put it right in here. Just like that. And we're going to grab up here, and we're going to do the same thing again. I'm going to put that buttermilk just right up in here. It's okay if you override the edge of the yellow. That's absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. Just like that. Get up in there. Make sure that we are coating the canvas. And again, remember, this is the background. You don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it. I mean, you do want your canvas covered, but you don't want to spend like forever just concentrating on one thing on the background. Because again, it is a background. Need a little more buttermilk. Alright. We'll finish this with this 1-inch brush. Alright, now, once you do that, go back in with your 1-inch brush and just kind of go right on the edges. Just kind of smooth them out a little bit. Just come down, just pull down, and smooth out those edges a little bit. Come back up here, do the same thing, right through here. Alright, then you're going to rinse your brush. Get that buttermilk out of there. Now, you don't want to drink this buttermilk, you know, but actually, I don't know why anybody would want to drink buttermilk anyway. It's excellent for cooking, but ugh. My grandma used to drink buttermilk. I don't know how she did it, but all more power to her. Rest in peace, Grandma. And hope you're drinking plenty of buttermilk up in heaven right now. I'm going to get some more yellow here. Come back in. I noticed some white areas through here that I want to get. I want to smooth out that line right there. And I want to smooth out our bottom here. Now, next thing we're going to do is I'm going to kind of brush this out a little bit. I don't want to clean the brush, but I do want some of the paint out of it. So you see I'm just kind of brushing it out of there. Take my napkin, wipe some of the paint out, and then I'm going to grab this tangerine. And what I'm going to do with that, grab just a little bit of it there, spread it out a little bit, and then I'm going to come in here where we did this buttermilk at, right up in here. I'm just going to lightly touch that tangerine in there from the top. I want to pick up just a little bit of that color in there. We'll just come down and we'll just pull it down towards us and pick up a little bit of it in there. Adds a nice little contrast. So you're just pulling a little bit down through there. Not getting crazy with it. You just want a little bit of it in there. Oops, it's too much on the brush. Do the same over here on this side. Pull a little bit of that tangerine down into that buttermilk, just like that. Just a small touch of it. Then grab a little more of the tangerine. You're going to do the same thing with the yellow. You're going to pull a little bit of tangerine down into the yellow, starting up at the top and working down. Just pull a little bit of it down in there. If you get a little bit too much in there, just kind of spread it out. Everything is still wet at this point. Just a little bit of that tangerine down through there, just like that. Do it over here. Pull a little bit of the tangerine down through there. Just want this hint, just a slight hint of this orange going on in there. Now I'm going to pull some tangerine across here. I'm going to make it a little bit darker than what I did on top. I want a little more contrast down here. Because this is like the floor or the tabletop. Maybe the tabletop probably. I'll put a little bit back in here on this side. Pull it across there. Okay. Now, once you got that done, rinse your brush again. And what we're going to do is we are going to do the vase. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, don't worry about your paint. I need another napkin here. I'm going to end up going through a bunch of napkins as I drop my cloth on the floor. Don't worry about your paint still being wet. That's something that you don't want to be concerned with. It actually will add to your painting if the paint is wet at this point. And you'll understand why as we get more into this. So, you want to get your sweet mint. What you want to do is you want to do that vase. So you should be able to see your lines where the vases are at. All you're going to do is you're going to follow those lines around. Just follow them around. We're going to get it on this side here. And Rachel's cousin Carmen, who assists with doing these videos for Facebook, she'll get on there and she'll answer questions in the comments and what have you. You'll always, most of the time, you'll see her in there. She likes to freehand things. And I can freehand too, but actually, when it comes to showing you how to do these paintings, especially if you have no experience whatsoever and you're just kind of, you're dipping your toes into the water as it was, I'd rather you have a line drawing so that you can work within the line drawing. Now you're not doing a coloring book, this is a painting. But with the line drawing, it'll help you as you start learning how to do this stuff. And that's kind of the point of these paint party things. They're not only for fun, but hopefully you learn a few things along the way. And you can apply them to whatever future paintings you do, whether you're doing paint party paintings or whether you're creating something completely and totally on your own. Hopefully what I show you will assist you on your artistic journey. Okay. So we got the vase, and if you can see that in the video, and you should be able to see it, we picked up some of the yellow into the bottom of that vase. It looks really good. Alright, so now we have our vase on there. And you can see that little bit of yellow that we picked up down in the bottom. And you can see this texture here. This texture adds detail and adds dimension to your painting. Very important when you're painting to have dimension, because you don't want something that's flat. What you want is something that looks more three-dimensional. Even if you're doing a whimsical painting like this, you know, that's not an actual realistic looking still life, you still want something that has depth to it. And by picking up extra colors when you're doing this, by adding some texture to like your vase and your flowers and what have you, you're actually creating that effect of depth, detail, and dimension. And I'm a big one about dimension. You'll hear me talk about it a lot. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the strawberry. Again, always remember to shake these up, okay? You need to shake them up. And we are going to go in and we're going to do our flowers. Now you can see those flowers peeking through there. You can see all that. I told you not to worry about it. With your paint, you'll still be able to see where things are at. Some of it you'll have to guess, but for the most part, you'll be able to see where things are at. So I'm going to take strawberry, and what we're going to do is we're going to go in here with still the 1-inch brush. We haven't changed brushes yet. And we're going to create little circles where these flowers are at. So what you're going to do is you're going to go in, you're going to kind of create a little circle. You want to keep your brush sweeping and moving till you're happy with your circle. You're going to do that on each one of these flowers. You're going to see how I'm just doing these little kind of little curving circles. Don't be afraid to use some paint here. You want to use some paint here. You want this kind of thick for these. Where's the top of that? There it is. So this is kind of like our largest flower right here. You just want to kind of go in there. You want to do these little circles. Again, this is going to add texture, this is going to add depth, and it's going to add detail to what you're doing. Just want to do those little circles. And this is where you want to spend some time. Like I said, you don't spend a lot of time on your background. It's not necessary. But when you start doing like the flowers, this is where you want to spend your time at. And you see that these flowers are picking up some of the yellow and some of the buttermilk, which it helps give more detail, more dimension to your flower by picking up that other paint. Just like that. Just kind of make the edges uneven, and you just want it to kind of suddenly become a flower shape. Now, the flowers in this painting remind me of peonies. And my grandmother loved peonies. She had a very large peony bush. Some people call them pennies, but they're peonies. She had a very large peony bush on the south side of her house here in Topeka, Kansas. And she loved that bush. And I was always fascinated by it because when the peonies would come up, which they were kind of the color of these that we're doing here today, when they came up, the ants seemed to really like them. And they made their home within the peony flowers. You can see these ants all through these peony flowers. I don't know if they were feeding off of them or if they just liked to call them home. But you'd see these ants, and I'd stand there and I'd watch these ants for a long time. They were just fascinating to watch. I've always been a big one about wild creatures, and we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a little bit. But the ants were fascinating to watch, and the peonies. And the peonies were oh so pretty. God, they were gorgeous. And I understand why Grandma loved them. Lived in a house in Independence, Kansas, that the sidewalks were lined with peony bushes. And those peonies were over 100 years old. The original builders of this house had come from Denmark and had brought the peonies with them. Now, this is something that you may not know, but peonies and tulips come from the same area of the world, Denmark, Holland, the Netherlands. Well, these people came over and they brought these peony roots with them when they came over here to the United States, and when they settled in Independence, Kansas and built their home there, they planted these peonies. And that kind of fascinated me, because stop and think about that for a second. These peonies that they planted were over 100 years old. That meant that the peonies were older than me, and that they had survived. That ain't even a word. Outlived the people that had originally planted them. Now, honestly, how fascinating is that? These peonies have traveled through time, and just amazing, absolutely amazing. So here you go. You get your flowers in there. I think I'm going to widen this one out a little bit more, round it up here. Now, once you have the bases of your flowers in there, next thing you're going to do is you're going to clean out your 1-inch brush, get it good and clean, because chances are you won't be using it again in this painting. So you want to get it clean. You might use it again in the painting, you don't know, but for right now, just get as much of the paint out of it as you possibly can. Just like so. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to get a small amount of that yellow that we used a while ago. And what we want to do is we just want to put it in a few places inside your flowers. Just kind of dab it in there every so often. Don't get crazy with it. Just whatever you feel comfortable with. Just put a little bit of it in there. Just kind of a highlight thing is what you want to do. And you're going to do that with each flower. Just don't have to be much. Just a little bit. You just want a little bit in there. Just come back in and drop a little bit of that yellow in there. Just here and there. Just kind of touch it. Just want to pick up a little bit of that color. So just go in here, just barely touch your brush to the canvas. You don't want to press down on the brush. You just want to barely touch it in there on the canvas. Just like so. Just touch it. Just like that. You know what? I just noticed something. I'm going to do that because I just think it looked good. You know, that's the thing when you do a painting, if you see something, don't hesitate to go back in, and if you think you need to add something, add it. Remember I said we were done with our 1-inch brush? Well, apparently we weren't, because I'm going to add one more flower right down in here. I need a little more of the strawberry. So we're going to add one more flower right in here. Just Not a big one, just a little one. But I want to put one right in here, right in this area here. A simple little flower. And then using, well, you have your 1-inch brush. I actually was going to do this with the number 8, but we'll do it with 1 inch since I already have the strawberry in there. So what you're going to do is just come in here and add a quick highlight. Nothing fancy. Just add a little highlight. Just like so. Just want a little bit of a highlight in there. Just a little hint. A little hint of color. Just like that. Alright, now you can clean your 1-inch brush. Let's clean that out. You know why we're down there though? I think we need squeezing the water out of the brush. No, we'll do that with smaller brush. Okay, so the next brush we're going to use is still the number 8, and we are going to go over to the dragon fruit. Now, dragon fruit is close to the strawberry. It's a little bit pinker. What we're going to do with that is we're going to get on the tip of the brush. We're going to make a point. You see how we made a point? There's a little bit of paint on there. We didn't overdo the paint, okay? And then what we want to do is we just want to come in here and we want to kind of just touch in places, just like we did with the yellow. But we're going to put a little bit more of the dragon fruit in there than we did the yellow. Just kind of touch places. Now, it's going to be really hard to see the difference between the dragon fruit and the strawberry. But there is a difference, and here in a few minutes when we go in and we add our next color, you'll see why we did the dragon fruit. It'll become very, very obvious to you. So I'm just gonna go in here and I'm just gonna touch places with the dragon fruit. Like I said, it's really hard to see the difference between the strawberry and the dragon fruit, but you will see. You shall see what you shall see. Go in here and touch this. Like I said, just go through and just touch different places. Those of you that have painted with me before, you've heard me talk about being a zookeeper one time in my life. Being a zookeeper, I've always loved animals. I mean, just nature and animals. But being a zookeeper gave me a really marvelous perspective on conservation and animals and nature. And my serious paintings, not my paint party paintings, but when I sit down I do a really serious painting, they reflect my love of conservation and of animals and just of nature in general. I like to do landscapes and I like to do animals. When I do animals, they're a little bit different than what you would expect. I like to go in and I like to do what the eye can't see. In other words, I look deeper into the animal and I go beyond what you might normally just see. And I like to go in and I like to grab some details that normally most people would just ignore. I have a website, artofthegypsy.net, and you can see some of my paintings there and understand what I'm talking about. Okay, so after you get that dragon fruit in there, I'm going to put some here on the edge. After you get the dragon fruit in there, next thing you're going to do is you're going to clean out your brush. And then you're going to get some white. This is where it really starts to get interesting. This is when we grab the white. So get a little bit of white, don't need much. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here, I'm going to add white to these flowers. Just barely touch, just because these are wet, but it helps blend your white out. So you're going to go in, and as you do the white, you're going to go over some of that dragon fruit. And when you do, you'll see the effect that it causes. It creates a lighter area on the palette. And that dragon fruit blends back. You can see it right in there. It blends back into that white, and it creates a really nice effect. So you're just going to go in here, and you're going to add these little details in there. Just this little touch of white. You want to kind of keep in a circular motion as you're doing it. You want to work towards the center. Start on the outside edge and work in towards the center. Like I said, you're going to use a little more white than you did the yellow or the dragon fruit. And as that white goes over the dragon fruit, you can see what's happening. It's picking it up, it's changing it into another color, it's changing it into a lighter pink. And we're able to see what's happening there. Just want to play with it, do what feels right. If you want to add more white, add more white. If you want to add less, add less. It don't matter. Just go in here. You're going to do this. Get that little bit of white in there. Do it over here. And you can't use too much, you can't use too little. Again, it's what feels right to you. What feels right to you as you do this? I know what feels right to me, but the question is what feels right to you. What do you think? So, I kind of like that. I like where we're at with it. This one here, I'm going to smooth it out a little bit more. Yeah. I think that looks pretty good. All right. Now this next step, you notice that in the supply list that I mentioned bringing a hairdryer. Well, here in a second, we're going to use that hairdryer. What I want to do first, though, is I want to add this baby's breath in, okay, that you see in the painting. And I want it to pick up some of the colors. So the way we do that is you're going to make little kind of bullets. You're just going to touch, get your paint on there, and you just want to touch the canvas. Just kind of touch the canvas here and there. Try not to lay each one on top of another one. You want a separation. You want to be able to see what's behind these. You understand why shortly. Just come in and just kind of lay your baby's breath in there. And you can pick and choose where you want to lay it at. I'm going to lay something right in here. And come up over the top of this flower. We're going to pick up some of that color that we laid down for the flower. See, we picked up some of that color into the baby's breath. And I think I want a little bit thicker through here. Okay, and then we'll come up and we'll do the same thing through here. I'm going to lay in the baby's breath. Just going to put it in there. Just like so. Remember, it's just little bullets, little dots that you're laying in there. Just want to kind of lay them in there, pick up some of that color that's already there. Go through there and lay it in. Whatever feels right to you, that's what you do. Okay? You can put in as much or as little as you want to put in. It's all up to you. It's your painting. Then we'll come through here. I'm going to put some right up in here. I got a leaf that's going to go in there here in a second, so I want to leave a little room for that. We'll come up in here. We're going to come in here and we're going to do the same thing in this area here. Lay some more in there. Just like so. Come up in here. And we got some that's over in here, so we're going to lay that in. And lay some over in here, like so. Just like that. And then I'm going to take my brush, I'm going to wipe some of the paint out of it. I'm going to come in here and I want to add a little bit of white in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of streak this in. Like so. Streak that over. And we'll do the same here. We're going to streak that up and in. Just like so. Give that base just a little dimension there. Alright. So far so good. We're moving right along. Our next step is going to be to put in the leaves. Now, at this point you may be thinking to yourself, well, Gypsy, why didn't you put in the leaves before you put in the baby's breath? The reason why is because there's going to be some places where the leaves overrun the baby's breath, and there's going to be some places where the baby's breath overruns the leaves. So, consequently, what I'll do is any place that the baby's breath, where the leaves are not supposed to overrun the baby's breath or vice versa, I'll just go back in and I'll retouch the baby's breath. Because we're not done with that baby's breath yet. We got some more to add to it. Now remember I told you to have a hair dryer? Well, this is why you have a hair dryer. We need to dry this before we put the leaves in. So, I pressed high accidentally. Shame on me. I got it on hot. And I got it on low. And all I'm doing is I'm just going to dry the canvas. Now, you can also, if you don't want to use a hair dryer to dry your paint on your canvas, you can also just take a 5-minute break here. It don't take long for that paint to dry and set up. So if you want to just take a break, you can take a break. Just kind of dry your paint. Look in places where it looks shiny and kind of concentrate your hair dryer on that. And then once you're satisfied that's dry enough, at that point you're going to take your black green or your Hauser dark green, whichever one you want to use, don't matter. They're both about the same shade. And you are going to take your number 8 again, and we're going to make little footballs on the canvas. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in here, and I need to move this over to the side a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to go in here and we're going to make footballs. So we'll come down here like so. We'll come across. Now see, this is one of the areas where the leaves override the baby's breath, which is fine. We want that baby's breath to come out from behind that leaf. And we're going to put another football over here next to it. Fill that in. Just like so. Then we'll come, let's see. I think I want a leaf down in here, just a small one. Nothing big, nothing major, just a little leaf right in there. Peonies have a lot of leaves. If you're familiar with peonies, you know how bushy they are. That's why they call them peony bushes, because they have a lot of leaves. Even after they lose their flowers, they're still very leafy. I think it's a shame, though, that the leaves don't last longer, because you know they lose the flowers, and then shortly thereafter the leaves start dying out, and that's really a shame, because it'd be nice to have that nice bushy plant for a while, you know. Let's put a leaf in here, right in here, like so. Let's come and put one. Let's put one right up in here like this. Remember, just kind of make a football. That's all you're doing. Just kind of making a football. Alrighty. Let's put a leaf right about here. A little bit larger leaf. Notice that not all the paint was dry, and that I'm picking up some of it in the leaves, and that's fine. It's absolutely fine. It gives that depth and dimension we keep talking about. Let's put, I don't know, we'll put a leaf in here like so, like right there. Let's put another one. I'll point that off a little bit more. Let's say a leaf here, like this. And maybe a leaf right in here, sneaking out from behind those flowers. And we'll go over here and we'll do one of our little footballs there. And let's do a football here. We'll come down in here. We'll do a leaf right here. Now you put your leaves where you want to put them, wherever you feel they're nice. Nice thing about doing these leaves is that you can also go in and you can cover up any pencil lines that may be showing from behind your flowers using these leaves. Sneaky, huh? but it works. Okay, so we have leaf there. I think we're about good on leaves. No, we're not. I'm going to put some leaves up here in the center, so we're going to go, I think I'll go a leaf right here, like so. And then we'll go bring a leaf up like this, kind of partially covering that flower, like that. Then we'll do another leaf. Let's do one right here. Let's do a smaller one right in here, like so. Okay, now we have all of our leaves. I'm happy with the leaves that we have. What I'm going to do, I want to fill those in a little bit more. I'm seeing too much canvas behind there. Even though I like the texture, I still don't want to see a whole bunch of canvas behind them. Alright, so we got those. I'm going to rinse out my brush. Now, any place where you think, remember this is your painting, any place where you think that the baby's brush should have overrode the leaves, just go in and touch those areas. So I see a couple of places here where I think the baby's breath should have overrode the leaves. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to touch those areas with my little dots, like so. Actually, I think I want to make this one bigger. So I'm going to come down in here, just kind of add some more. That's more baby's breath in there. Come down in here. Alright. Now that you have your leaves in, and while you have your white, what I want you to do is I want you to go to each leaf that you see, and I want you to add a streak of white. Just on one side of the leaf, just add a little streak of white. We're going to do that on each one of the leaves. Add a little streak of white on each leaf. Come down each leaf, a little streak of white on the side. Just like so. A little streak of white. Just put right on the side of the leaf. Go up and do each leaf like that. Just come up there. Once you get your white on the sides of the leaf, once you have all that done, next thing that you need to do is you need to rinse your brush out. And if you don't have enough yellow, make sure you get some more yellow because you're going to need it. Yellow, mellow yellow. And then I want you to put a streak of yellow opposite the white on each leaf. So just come down with your yellow and do yellow on the side of each leaf. Just going to do each leaf just like that. Get the yellow on there. here and get the yellow on these. And again, this gives your painting detail, and it gives it dimension. You know, nice thing about doing these paintings, especially these paint party paintings, so that you can give them away as gifts. Now, I mean, if you want to stand on a street corner and sell them, hey, your world, baby. You know, I'm just passing through it, but these make really nice birthday or Hanukkah or Christmas or whatever gifts, confirmation gifts. See, I'm a firm believer that presents should be handmade by you, that they have more meaning, that they're more special when you actually hand make a present than it is when you go to Amazon or go to Target or go to Walmart and buy a present. If you're making it yourself, it's coming from your heart. When you give it to someone, it means a little bit more. And I just, personally, I think that handmade presents are a lot better. But that's just me. You don't have to listen to me. What do I know? I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow. That's all an area here. Just going to bring down a little bit of yellow right in that area right there. That looks pretty good. All right. Now this next step that we're going to do is a little more difficult. Takes a little more patience. If you have no patience, I don't know what to tell you, because you're going to need it here. What we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to do some black lines on here. Make sure you shake up your paint. Van Gogh, if you look at his work, Van Gogh lined his paintings. He lined the figures, he lined the structures that he painted, he always lined them. It was unheard of at the time to line a painting. Oh, no, you don't do that, you know, you gotta make it look as natural as possible. Even the Impressionists didn't line paintings. Van Gogh, he lined paintings. That's what he did. And we're going to line this painting too. But you use a limited number of lines, and I'm going to show you what we mean here. So what we're going to do, first thing we're going to do is we're going to come here, this bottom line that goes right here. You're just going to pull, if you're right hand, pull your brush this direction. If you're left handed, pull your brush this way. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get a starting point. You may not be able to see my hand, see the line for a minute, but I'm just going to pull right across. Going a little bit thicker line right there. I'm going to pull that line across. I'm going to kind of press down on my liner brush. Pull that line across there. And make sure you get it all filled in. And now I have my line across there. Now I'm going to do the same. I want to make sure this is all filled in. Always try not to put your hand on the canvas if you can help it. You not only get paint on your hand, but you also smear your paint on the canvas, and you really don't want to do that. I'll do my line right there. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do these ray lines. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the brush away from me. You have a steadier go if you pull the brush away from you. So if you just go like so, and pull that brush away from you. Just pull it away. Some people like to come this direction. I find, for me anyway, now maybe it works different for you, but for me, I find that's just a steadier go if I pull the brush away from me. back in. Go up. I want thicker lines on mine. The original painting doesn't have thick lines. You can use thick lines or you can use thin lines. I want thicker lines on mine. So I'm just going through and I'm just pulling these straight up. Just like so. I'll go over here and we'll pull this one up. Just like that. And I should have a line right about in here would be my guess. Okay. Now, see here where I slipped a little bit? Right down here at the bottom? All I'm going to do, I'm going to come back through again. Just going to thicken the line. And like I said, you can go thin lines if you want. On this one, I wanted thicker lines on that background. Because that's just the way I roll. Okay. So now that I have my lines on there, I'm going to go in and make sure that they're solid. So any place where I see something peeking through, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to touch it so it's not peeking through. All right. Now, once that's done, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do these little side details. So I'm going to come through here and I'm just very lightly with my liner brush, I'm just going to come through, put a few lines in there. Just very lightly with the liner brush. Not pressing hard like I did when I did my big heavy thick lines. I want these thinner, finer lines is what I want. So I'm just going to come in, I'm just going to lightly touch it. Lightly touch it here. Lightly touch it here. We're going to come up here and we're going to do the same thing here. Oh, that one kind of went squiggly. That's okay. They can go squiggly if they want. Gonna put a line here. I think I'm gonna put a line right in here. And we'll stick one over here. We'll put one up in here, like so. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the end of my brush, just the very tip of it. I'm going to put it in the black paint. I'm going to go add some dots. Put some dots in here. Put some dots in here. Put a couple of dots in here. Put a dot in there. A couple of dots in here. A couple down here. Put a dot there. A couple of dots down here. Maybe one up in here. Put a couple in there, like so. Then, let me put a couple in here. Put one right there. There we go. Now, I come in here, still use my liner brush, and I'm going to put the line coming down right here, like so. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. Do a couple lines, maybe one here, maybe one here, and I don't know, maybe a small one right in here like that. Alright. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to go in here. I'm going to line the vase. So basically, bring it to a point, because you want finer lines here. So come on down and follow your vase around. And get a little bit wider as you go. See how I'm slowly pressing the brush in to get it wider. And now I'm going to bring the brush back out to get it thin down here at the bottom. And then we're going to come off this side here. We'll come around. Out a little bit. Get it a little bit rounder. Then notice how I kept it thin at the bottom, but I'm thicker on the sides. Again, we come back to that dimension thing. It helps add dimension to your vase. Alright, now we're going to start lining the leaves and the flowers. So we're going to come in here. We're going to line the leaves. Like so. And we'll get all the leaves lined. Just go through and line all your leaves. Don't worry about the flowers yet. We'll get back to the flowers. Just do your leaves. Just line those leaves. Each little detail that you put in here is as important as the last ones. You always want to go in and don't rush through. Now, I realize that I go a little bit faster than probably what you do, but I've been doing artwork since I was a child, and over the years, speed is just something that has developed for me. If you can't keep up with me, don't stress over it. That's why it's called a video. You can pause it and you can come back to it and you can catch up with where I'm at. So please, if I'm going faster than what you're going, do not stress. Just pause the video, catch up with me, and then start the video again. I am forever, ever at your fingertips to show you how to do this. And you can make me go as slow as you want to make me, or you can make me go as fast as you want to make me. Whatever you want to do, it's up to you. See how nice those leaves are looking? Getting them all lined out and everything. Line this one up here. Get this one lined. I'm really enjoying doing this painting with you. This is a fun painting to do. And as I was talking about earlier, you know, giving away as gifts, I will give this to somebody as a gift. Don't know who, but they will get it as a gift. Because that's what I do. I think I have given away more paintings in my life than I have anything else. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to find the center of the flowers. Okay, so basically what we'll do is you've already done your outer edges, so you know where they're at, right? So we're just going to go in here and we're going to put a few little dots in the center. So we know where the center of our flowers are at. So we're just going to go in here and kind of smush a brush in there. This will help in a few minutes. We add a little more detail to the flowers. Just kind of smush a brush in there. Find that center. And they don't have to be perfect. As a matter of fact, you don't want them perfect. Just finding the center of your flower is all you're doing. Okay. Oh, don't want to miss this one over here. There. So, next thing we're going to do after we find the center of our flowers is we're going to outline the flower, but we're not going to outline the whole flower. We're only going to outline portions of it. Okay? This will actually make the flower stand out more than it would if you outline the whole thing. Reason why is because you've already outlined the leaves. So you actually want this flower to be more of a, the edges to be more of a highlight than a solid edge all the way around. We're not creating a coloring book, we're creating a painting. If it was a coloring book, it'd be solid all the way around, but it's not a coloring book, it's a painting. So we're just gonna, just the edges of those flowers. Don't connect them. Just go in and do little edges on them. That's all you want to do. That's all I'm doing, just little edges. See how I'm not connecting them? Just finding those slight edges. Just like that. And we'll get these lined. And as soon as we get them lined, we'll be ready for our next step. We're getting close to the end. Still a couple of things that have to be done though. So, that takes care of the flowers as far as doing the outlining goes. Next thing we're going to do So we're going to add some color and detail into the center. Now the way we're going to do that, so we're going to take some of our sweet mint. We're going to go here in the center and just add some dots of the sweet mint in the center. Just like you did with the black. Just go in and add some dots of the sweet mint. Just do what you feel is right. Put a little bit more in there. Then, after you do that, I want you to take the sweet mint and find some places where you think it might look good inside your flower. Just, you don't want a whole lot in there, but just kind of go in and touch some places inside each little flower. If you think it'd look good in place, just drop it in there. This helps carry the color from the base into the flowers, so you have a complete flow. One of the important things to remember when you're doing a painting is that you want the eye to travel around the painting. You don't want the eye to really stay stationary. The painting should carry the eye, not the eye carry the painting. That is to say, your focus should not go into one area. I mean, you can focus on an area if you want. You can look closer at an area. But when you're just observing the painting, you just want your eye to kind of look at the whole painting, not just one section of it. So, once you're happy with where you've put your sweet mint, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take that same sweet mint, get on the brush here, and we're going to go into each little dot of your baby's breath and touch that sweet mint in each little dot. Just give it a little, just barely touch it. You just barely want to touch it. Let me get a little more sweet mint here. We'll just go in here and we'll touch this. Now when you're painting, I don't have any music going right now. Usually when I'm painting I have some music going, or actually sometimes I have the TV going in the background. I would urge you, when you're painting, if you're not watching a video of someone like me showing you how to do these nice little simple pretty paintings, what I would do is I'd put on some music, or I'd put the TV on in the background. Have some sort of noise. It actually helps your mind to work and think. It actually sparks your creative juices. It gets your creative juices flowing. So I would definitely recommend doing that. It's funny how the mind works. Noise will actually help the creative juices flow. Don't ask me why. I'm not a neurosurgeon or a psychologist. I have no idea why. I just know that it works. Okay, so once you have your sweet mint and on all your baby's breath, rinse your brush. Come back over to your dragon fruit. That kind of lighter pink color, lighter than the strawberry. Very carefully go in and add a little tiny dot into each little area of your baby's breath. Little tiny dot. Some of the baby's breath, you picked up some color from the flowers. Go in there and just add a little dot. My tip isn't pointed enough for me, so I'm going to point it out a little bit more. There we go. To point your tip, just roll your brush. Just roll the tip of your brush in your paint. That's how you point the tip. Or you can put it in your mouth and go, no, don't do that. You don't want to do that. Now, as you put in these little dots in the baby's breath, I think you can start seeing what's happening and start giving it this detail that really sets the painting apart. You now no longer have just a flat painting, you have something that's telling a story. What type of story does your painting tell? Like for me, it might be, like I was talking about my grandma. My grandma might have gone out and picked some peonies to put into a vase on the dining room table. That might be the story here. Or did you go to the florist and get some peonies to take to your significant other as a, hey, guess what, I happen to love you just a little bit present? I tell my dogs that all the time. If I'm putting them out in the extreme cold or the extreme heat, I only leave them out for a little while, and I'll bring back in. I always tell them when I bring back in, I'm bringing you in only because I love you a little bit. Kind of like you. But, I don't want them to get a swelled head and think that they're all that in the center of my world. Even though they kind of are, but, don't tell them that. They might think they're special or something, deserve extra treats. Alright, after you get all your little dots in there, next thing you're going to do is again rinse your brush. Clean it out. You always want to keep the brushes clean. You don't want the paint drying in your brush. Now, of course, you're going to clean them all again when you get done, but always make sure that you try to keep as much paint out of them as possible. Now you're going to grab some white. Grab a little bit of white. What we're going to do is we're going to put a few streaks in here. So we're just going to kind of brush down like that. Drop some streaks in. Throw some streaks in there. Put some down in here just because. I don't know what you think. Think that's enough streaks? Maybe a couple over here. Don't like that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add just some yellow to it. Bring it back. There we go. Grab some of my tangerine. So you can always go in and you can make corrections. Even after it dries, if there's something you don't like, go back in. and correct it. It's easy enough to do. I'm going to take a little bit of yellow, just a touch. I think we'll add some yellow right down in here. And maybe a little bit right in here and in here. Just like so. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Okay. Now, you've done your painting. Basically, the painting's done. We've done everything with it that we set out to do. After your painting dries, if you think there's something else you want to do to it, you want to change something, go on and change it. Don't be afraid to change. You know, change is good. If you like it the way it is, just leave it the way it is. Don't do anything else with it. The one thing that you do need to do, though, before you can actually call it a finished painting, is you need to add your signature to it. So, I'm going to get some of this orange over here that we used just a minute ago. And this is my first painting of 2025. Yes, you got to see me do my first painting of 2025. So I'm going to put my signature down here in the corner. Use my initials for my actual name. You always want to use a complementary color when you're doing your signature. You know, the idea is not to have your signature be the focus of the painting. That's not the focus of the painting. Now, everybody knows me as the Gypsy. My real name is James Allen George. And yes, I have 3 first names. So my initials, which is how I sign all my paintings, is with J-A-G. So there's the J and the A. We'll make the top part of the G, comes around like so. Real fancy, look at that, how fancy that is. Then the bottom part of the G is actually the year. So we're going to go 20. There's the 2. And then we're going to put in the 5. There's the 5. And that painting, my friends, is done. Now what you can do, and if I was you, I would strongly recommend just waiting until it dries. To give it a more finished look, you can go in and paint these edges, right? Paint the edges on the painting. Paint all those edges. Paint them complementary, you know, paint them like yellow or whatever, but paint the edges. I mean, on this particular one, because you have so much yellow on the edges, I just go with the yellow. And just go in there. You can, if you want, you can use your 1 inch, or you can use whatever. You can use your number 8, but you just go in and just paint the edges. Just like so. And I'll go back in on this painting and I'll paint the edges later on. I'm just kind of using up my yellow that I have right now, just to show you this. But just want to get those edges painted, and it gives it a more finished look. It looks classier. You'll have a classy painting if you do those edges. Not that your painting isn't already classy, but you know, it's difference between wearing a seersucker suit and a tuxedo. What looks classier? The seersucker suit or the tuxedo? If you say the seersucker suit, send me an email and we'll have to have a discussion. Because, you know, you can't beat a tuxedo. I mean, 8 million penguins can't be wrong, right? Can't beat a tuxedo. So see, it gives a more finished look. And you just go in and you just do the edges. A lot of times, you know, you got to wait for an edge to dry before you can move on to the next edge. But you just go in there and you paint those edges and give that nice finished touch. Yes, I'm sitting here rambling because I want to use up the yellow that I have on my palette rather than waste it. I'm not a person that's real big on waste. You'll find out. I already have some paint on there that I'm going to have to waste, and not real happy about it, but I'm giving my painting a finished edge. Don't forget to get these these little side angles here when you do this. You got the little, oh, I turned it down where you can't see it. You got the little side angles there that you want to get. Make sure you get these little side angles right here, right along those edges. You want to get those. Sorry, I keep turning the painting down where you can't see what I'm doing. But just go in there. We'll push it down here where you can see this. Just go in there and just paint your edge. Almost out of yellow, so we're almost out of painting the edge for right now, at least for you. For me, I'll come back to it after the video ends. There we go. So see, gives it a nice finished look, and your painting will look really nice, and it'll be a masterpiece. People will be very impressed with what you did, because you did it. It came from your hands. Now let me get the screen big here so I can talk to you. Hi, I'm big again. This has been a really special painting for me today. Not only because it's my first one in 2025, but it was 6 months ago today that I lost my beautiful wife, Rachel. She passed, well, her death certificate says July 22nd, but I believe she was gone when I found her on the 21st. That's her picture right there. She's always right here beside me. Mad Hatter Tea Party Art is named after her. That was her nickname, was Mad Hatter. And so to do this painting today on the 6-month anniversary of my wife passing, it makes this a really special painting for me. I hope it was a special painting for you too. I've really enjoyed doing this with you. I hope you join me for my next one. It's called Bloom and Bottle. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. It's going to be on February 7th. Is the next one we're going to do. The video, it'll be a pre-recorded video, but I'll be on Facebook Live so that I can answer your questions and comment to you and what have you while you're watching the video. Facebook has had a tendency to mess up recently on their live feeds, and so we're just going to do the pre-recorded video, and then I'll come on there live while the video is playing, and you can talk to me. Carmen Susie, which was my wife's cousin, she comes on there too. She kind of co-hosts also, and you can ask her questions, and we'll just have a really good time. So I hope you join me for Bloom and Bottle on February 7th. I hope you enjoyed doing this painting with me. Like I said, this was a special painting today because it was the first one of 2025, and it was on the 6-month anniversary of my wife's passing. Very special painting. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot that you joined me here today to help me do this painting. But until we do this again, this is your friendly neighborhood gypsy saying, see you later, Gators. Hasta la vista, baby. Bye-bye now.